Hi, this is Stacey Goldring, and I want to thank you for listening to my chapter and notes newsletter for June 2020. So I'm going to talk a little bit about the Hotel Du Lac and then let you know about how you can participate in our chapter and notes book club community, give you some information about our upcoming titles, and then just wrap with a few of my brilliant assessments on everything literary. Okay, so to get started, here's a little bit of what I'd like to share with you regarding our last book, which was Hotel Du Lac by Anita Brookner. This was a very slim, subtle story that gave us much to discuss and consider, and I had many discussions about this book. And after the book, people called me or emailed or texted, and they wanted to carry on the discussion. And this reminds me about how grateful I am to have chapter and notes book groups in my life. Great therapy. So basically, who is Anita Brookner and what is Hotel Du Lac? A bit about Anita Brookner. She was a Cambridge professor. She had her PhD in 18th century painting, and she retires after 25 years of teaching. And then this woman picks up her pen and begins her what I call 2.0, and she writes her way through 20 novels. Our Hotel Du Lac is awarded the 1984 Man Booker Prize. I mean, this is a rich life, and I practically am in awe of this woman, and I love everything about Anita. She's brilliant. She speaks French. She's taught at Cambridge, so I'm basically prostrating at her very existence. And yet within the pages of Hotel Du Lac, and listening to our discussions, I think we actually meet Anita's doppelganger in our main character. Edith Hope, our banished author protagonist, drew a wide range of reactions from our readers, and it really made for some excellent conversation. Through Edith's letters to David, witty observations about the court of Pusey, the tinkling Kiki, and cake-loving Monica, Faustian Mr. Neville, we experience Hotel Du Lac a la Virginia Woolf's Clarissa stream of consciousness in epistolary form. With subtle, detailed prose and painterly landscapes, we are dreamily submerged within the pages of really sophisticated writing. Autopsy of a Boring Wife, this is not. I had pages of questions to share with our groups, of which I only covered a fraction. So I just want you to consider a few things if you've read Hotel Du Lac or if you plan on picking up this novel. Does Edith come to a conclusion about her choices in life? Is Edith happy with her life's choices? What does Anita, clearly I feel I'm on a first name basis with our author for some odd reason. What does Anita have to say about women's identity? Is Neville awful, or do you share his shame, and do you understand why he gives her, an iron land lesson in selfishness? Now, before I go on, because you're a part of our chapter and notes community, meaning you're listening to this, I feel it's okay to discuss the ending. If you haven't read the book and may yet want to, and you should want to, you may want to skip this part and meet me a little further down. I want to talk to you about ambiguity. We could certainly count on this with Hotel Du Lac. Could Edith ever make up her mind? Did she really want to marry, or really not so much? One of our readers suggested perhaps Edith couldn't commit because as an author, she was a collector of ideas. Thus, if she made a decision, it should cut off her creativity. I love that. Some of us were unsure of the recipient to whom Edith wrote her, quote, returning, unquote, telegram. To her agent, to Penelope, I thought maybe even the gardener. Some people thought David. And thanks to one of our readers, I can firmly state that she sent it to David's business address. Remember, he ran an auction house. And what does Edith mean with this coming home versus returning? How do we feel about this cast of misfits sent to a tired hotel at the end of its season? Like suggested by another one of our readers, we had a Dickinsonian array of Edith's potential futures. Iris Pusey, coddled and archaic, Monica, her worth based on producing an heir, and Madame de Bonneuil, a mother of self-sacrifice. The hotel provided a retreat from the real world and a return to a writing style that I love. During one of our discussions, after I droned on about Anita's impressive career, I was reminded that accomplishments do not equal healthy self-esteem or emotional intelligence. C'est vrai. And hey, isn't it also a little bit weird that no one was really sure of the time period of when this book took place? Our assumptions span between the 1930s to the 1970s. Is this the result of Brookner's subtle style, or bringing our own baggage to the valet at the Hotel Du Lac? Research shows, meaning my husband Bruce told me, that color TV referred to in the book hit the market about 1953. Oh, I also love the allusions to Colette, the precious Henry James, and the Virginia Woolf barbs. What other authors came to mind at Hotel Du Lac? Well, surely I thought about Julian Barnes, Ian McEwan, Dorothy Lockwood, Barbara Pym, and I think Penelope Fitzgerald also. In full disclosure, this writing is really my cup of tea. On Apologies, Hope, and Reality. Our author, who won the Man Booker in 1984, and according to The Guardian, she, quote, half apologized, unquote. My heart hurt upon reading that. But one reader propped me back up, offering Anita certainly said it tongue-in-cheek. Well, a girl can hope. Does Edith offer hope? Perhaps she does, at least vicariously through her nom de plume, Vanessa Wilde, itself packed with a double reference to Virginia Woolf's sister, Vanessa Bell, and the great Oscar Wilde. Clearly both led more expressive lives and tangled, complicated relationships than it appears our protagonist and self-admitting loneliest woman in the loneliest woman in London author ever could. We've read a book then, it seems, deemed metafictive. Hotel Du Lac was written by a respected prolific writer. It is about an author who identifies herself as independent by her pen. Yet only through her mythical novels does she seek and find happiness in love. In real life, it seems Edith is handicapped by her cardigan-cloaked mentality. Very meta indeed. Every sentence of Hotel Du Lac is threaded with the gray, grim quality. Except for one scathing statement, as Edith tells her agent, and I believe Anita says to you and me, quote, "The facts of life are too terrible for my fiction," unquote. I have posted a few other Hotel Du Lac materials if you'd like to learn more about the book or enrich your reading of it. There's a very peach and mauve dated 1986 film, Hotel Du Lac, that you can find on YouTube. And then there's a great article in the New York Times entitled "In Praise of Anita Brookner," and it's like a starter pack of great Brookner novels if you enjoyed Hotel Du Lac. And then there was an interesting article about surprising Booker Prize winners. So I thought that'd be nice to add on. Moving forward, and if you scroll down or you have moved on in this piece to a certain on the time code where you realize now that you did not hear the ending of Hotel Du Lac, I welcome you back. I want to talk now about looking forward. By looking back, Looking back on 2007, it was a very good year. There was a cellular phone that came on the market resembling a 2001 Space Odyssey ice cream sandwich, and it was introduced by a guy in a black shirt named Steve. That same year, J.K. Rowling's final installment of her wickedly popular Harry Potter series, Harry Potter and the Deathly Hallows, was published. And I really want to read that entire series with our group, but so far no takers. The same year, actor Helen Mirren took home the Oscar for The Queen. Although these are noteworthy events, truly the best thing about 2007 is that chapter endnotes began. Today, in our panic, pandemonium, pandemical world, what is the next page of chapter endnotes? Well, as I'm chatting to you right now, focused solely on what's going on in my brain, accompanied by my laptop keyboard, my dog snoring, and the Whirlpool fridge humming in the background, I announce the obvious. We carry on. Our chapter endnotes community has always been a space of gathering ideas, using literature as our springboard for understanding. As the Sonny and Cher song sang, the beat goes on, and thus chapter endnotes book groups continue online. And if you have that song ringing in your head for the rest of the day, you're welcome. When can we meet again? I will be discussing American Pastoral by Philip Roth at 6:30, July 13th, 2020, at San Marco Books and More in Jacksonville, Florida, health permitting. Doors open at 6:30 and shopping begin, and the discussion begins at 7. Virtually, we will meet in person, or you can find us online in our library. We will discuss the same book by Philip Roth, American Pastoral, July 15th, 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, 2020. We can all meet via Zoom. Let me know if you want the link for that. And of course, we do hope that you make a one-time donation of $10 to become a monthly member of Chapter Endnotes Community, or you can subscribe for a year at another cost, which we'll talk about further on in subscription details below. Over the summer, we're going to discuss Manhunt by James L. Swanson. Usually, our seasons are 2, pretty much like university. We meet September to December. We skip January because everyone basically has a holiday hangover, and we pick up for February through May. But like the rest of planet Earth at the moment, we have changed plans. Thank you, Mr. COVID. And we will kick off our fall virtual and in-person book groups in September with this nonfiction. It's a great book. I've read it and I look forward to rereading it. That's Manhunt by James L. Swanson. So how can you participate in our Chapter Endnotes community? Let me count the ways. We have 2 subscription levels and you can choose what fits for you. We have 3. So I have a typo right here that I'm reading and I will go ahead and change that. Too sweet. First of all, you can join for free and you'll receive this great monthly Chapter Endnotes newsletter, which I hope you're enjoying. It's a great summary of our books and other book-related topics. And like I've said, I like to add additional materials, book recommendations, analysis, bonus materials, and links, etc. Our second level is a $10 monthly membership. You get the newsletter, which you're listening to right now. You are also entitled and will enjoy 9 book club meetings, maybe more, just depending, with the world's greatest book club discussion, and that's right here at Chapter Endnotes. You can also gift your space. So if for some reason you can't make it or you'd like to share Chapter Endnotes with someone else, you can gift your meeting to a friend. You just send along the contact information. We will make sure your fellow book lover gets the information for that Zoom meeting, and bada bing. or level 3, which is a $15 monthly membership, or it can be discounted if you just want to pay everything up front to $165. That's annual. And of course, you get all of that. Plus, the discussions usually last about an hour and 15 at the most, but people still want to continue talking about the book. So this is what we call the meeting after the meeting. And I am willing to hang on and talk about whatever you want to talk about after the book club, quote unquote, officially ends. So I would love to hang out in the inner circle discussion time and continue the discussion, kind of like the director's cut. And really go in deep with whatever remaining questions you may have, suggestions about how the meeting could be structured. That's where we really debrief in depth. You will also, though, have access to our entire library of recorded chapter and notes book club. You will have access to our entire catalog of book titles and a lot more further analysis and information, so you can fall as far into the rabbit bibliohole heaven as you want. I just want to go over a few titles that have been recommended lately. Like I said, these will all be available in the library. So I've heard some of you have been reading Burial Rites by Hannah Kent and Running with Sherman by Christopher McDougall. Testaments, that's a new one by Margaret Atwood. The Men in My Life by Patricia Bosworth. We have one of our members who was actually a roommate with Patricia Bosworth. The True History of Chocolate, which sounds lovely. And a classic, I think a contemporary classic, Midnight in the Garden of Good and Evil by John Brent. And I would love to make a field trip to Savannah once everyone is healthy and this pandemic has passed. A note about shopping local. Please note that all of my recommendations are linked to something called IndieBound, which is like the opposite of Amazon. It's an aggregate organization that allows you to support any local bookseller of your choice. My favorite bookstore, of course, is San Marco Books and More, located right here in Jacksonville, Florida, and they do deliver. So if you don't feel like venturing out, or you live remotely, meaning far away from me, as far as where the kangaroos hop or where the volcanoes gurgle, I urge you to shop IndieBound. However, I know that Amazon is super easy. So you can shop Amazon for everything, but please, God, don't do Amazon for books. But anyway, if you do enjoy shopping for Amazon, I would suggest you check out something called Amazon Smile. By enrolling with Amazon Smile, and you can just Google it and you'll get there, you are able, with every purchase that you make that qualifies, and it depends on the supplier, you are able to contribute a portion of whatever you buy will go to your favorite nonprofit. And of course, I would hope that you would select Searching for Identity, which is the nonprofit organization, the umbrella organization of Chapter and Notes. And why do I not want you to buy books from Amazon? And I admit it, I have bought books from Amazon in the past, but I don't do that anymore. First of all, there are a bazillion counterfeits out there. They have typos. They have crummy covers, crummy bindings. They are printed in places you would never walk into. It's just bad. It's just bad mojo. And you never really know what you're getting. And like a Snickers bar, it is a quick fix. There's nothing like, hitting it same day or whatever. But really, is that really helpful? Really, is it? So, I don't want to do any public shaming, but you get the point. And one PS before I actually really even sign off. I will never link to a book, nowhere, no how, that has the word girl in its title. And I've talked about this before, but it's worth repeating. We've come a long way over the years, my Chapter and Notes readers and me. As many of you may know, I prefer my authors very dead. Yet I can evolve. And if you check out our title catalog, the chapter and notes title catalog that exists on the website, you will see that we have read works that are written by authors who are very aerobic and breathing. Although I do feel guilty about the recent passing of E.L. Doctorow, we read Ragtime, and Pat Conroy, The Water is Wide. Still, I can't be held responsible for the deaths of these authors, but I do not like being made a victim of marketing slop. If publishing houses want us to read quality writing, then the cheap addiction to titles, including the girl's girl, including the titles using the words girl, orphan, ladies, society, Paris, club, would not be necessary. And it is better suited for lingerie or millinery of the pre-suffragist movement. Of course, that's just my take. Please keep the recommendations coming. If you know a fellow book lover who would enjoy our discussions, do let me know. I want to thank you for having a listen to this little, well, in your case, it would be an audible epistle, and I look forward to being together for American Pastoral. Be well, stay well, keep reading. Thanks.